It's my great pleasure to introduce Trisha Lindsey, who is the director, one of the directors for DPOR, and specifically her staff includes oversight of the Home Inspector Board. I can just say that we are really fortunate to have Trisha and her staff. They are very professional, very dedicated, and just a great resource for us. So we really appreciate all that you and your staff do, Trisha. And so how about taking over and sharing with us your thoughts and what DPOR is up to nowadays?
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay.
Yes.
Always fun with the virtual meetings. Thank you so much for inviting me, and you know, Alex was so kind to us, but I have to say in turn, I have the opportunity. I see a lot of familiar names and folks that we've worked with and have helped us understand things. And we'll talk a little bit about a committee that Alex, for one, just finished helping us with. So we really appreciate all that we can do to work with you all and you know, make all of our jobs hopefully a little bit easier. I'm just going to do a few updates. We're going to see about sharing a screen. So let's.
Do you have the green button at the bottom that you can click on?
I sure do. So let's see what happens here.
There we go. You have started. There we go. We see it.
Perfect. All right. Well, that first step is good. So, you know, we're on a roll and hopefully I can't mess up too bad in you know, 10 or so minutes. So I just wanted to give you a few updates. Always contact us if there are any things that you come across that you have questions about when it comes to licensing. You know, in addition to just missing being out with people, so not being able to wait until we're back in person, it also makes this next part a little bit of a challenge. I want to do a couple of introductions, and trust me, they're in here. Lisa Robinson, some of you may have worked with. She is over all of our licensing operations, and I think she's here today, just kind of tuning in, but she's the key person when y'all have licensing questions that I want to double check. She's the one I go to. And then also we have Tanya Pettis. She is our newest staff member in a way. She's our new board administrator for the Asbestos-Lead and Home Inspector Board. So you all probably have been seeing her name more, and we'll see her name a lot more. She previously served as administrative assistant to the board. So I'm super excited to have her as the administrator for this board. And I know she's super excited to have the administrative assistant position filled so that she's not doing double duty. All right, with all of the formalities out of the way, we'll go through a few of these updates real quickly. One, I wanted to give you some regulatory updates. We don't have a whole lot going on, but we will soon, and I want to put them on your radar. One small action that we have is as a result of the marijuana legalization that you all may have heard about this year. And so I had the opportunity to talk to the boards about a subject I never thought I would, but it did require an amendment to the regulations. Right now, whenever you apply or once you're licensed, you have to disclose certain convictions, and it currently has all misdemeanors within certain time periods and things like that. We have amended it to coincide with the bills that legalize marijuana in different phases to exclude disclosure of marijuana misdemeanors. That is in line with what's in that law. And so we just want to make sure we follow suit. Eventually it won't matter because it's not going to be in any criminal history records that come from Virginia. Until then, we want to make sure that we are you know, not asking for information that we technically should not be getting. All right, the next one I want to talk about is the bigger one. There's not a lot going on right this minute, but there will be. And so I want to make sure that you all know so that if you have feedback, which I'm sure you will, and, you know, want to participate in the public comment periods and all of that, I want to make sure that you know this will be coming. The board has been conducting a general review of its regulations. And what that means, it's looking at it start to finish, all the lines and all the words in the regulations. And it did this by forming a committee of both non-board members as well as board members, home inspector expertise, obviously on the committee. We've had representatives from the contractor world participate, as well as we invited someone from Virginia Realtors to participate, and then consumer representatives. So that work just finished from the committee, and they did adopt a recommendation after several meetings and trust me, grueling line by line work. And so the recommendation by the committee will be coming up to the full board for review at its meeting on November 4th. Now, this is not a done deal yet. The board will go through, they will make amendments, and once they do that, they will adopt them as proposed. That then goes through a whole executive branch review process where the governor and attorney general and all review it. At the end of that is when there will be a public comment period. So sign up for the notices on town hall. If you haven't, if you aren't sure how to get there or how to get information, shoot any of us an email and we will let you know, because these will be changes that can affect your licensure. Some of the big things that are pending in those regulations, there are more options for entry. One of the things that we've dealt with over the last few years since the licensing requirements came in is just some of the unintended limitations for certain qualifications to be able to come in. So we wanted to take another look at that. We also expanded the CPE topics as far as putting them in the regulations, so you don't have to go find them in another document. And then we also are doing some work on the prohibited acts. Those are the things that we use to discipline a licensee. So those are important whenever there's something going on that a complaint comes in. That's what we look at. One of the things that has generated a lot of attention in the last few months are walk and talk inspections. And I've had to have conversations with a number of you all just to understand what all that was and how it plays into what you all do as home inspector licensees. After compiling information, having discussions with the board about it, the board did adopt a guidance document at its last meeting. And I kind of want to tell you where we are with that. The document is currently available on Town Hall, and I have the link there on the second bullet. I know that's a lot. Again, if you aren't sure how to get to it, just email me. If you're signed up for notices, you should have gotten a notice about it. There's a public comment period on the document from September 27th through October 27th. And then it will be effective October 28th, provided that there isn't anything that halts the process or sends it back to the board. Essentially what it says is for walk and talk inspections, which in this case, we're only talking about those that do not have a final home inspection report at the end of it. Those are not considered home inspections under the law. So per the definition, a home inspection has to include a final written evaluation or written report, as we use in the regulations and in the industry. So if it doesn't have that written report, it is not a home inspection under Virginia law. And so you should not call it a home inspection. You can call it the walk and talk inspection. You can, whatever you want to call it in that context, but do not call it or advertise it as a home inspection, because as a licensee, that could be problematic. We've gotten a lot of questions about if you're not licensed in doing these, because it's not a home inspection, it doesn't fall under the regulatory jurisdiction of the board. There wouldn't be anything that we could do if a non-licensee is doing those. If you have questions about that, definitely get in touch. Again, it was trying to just to clarify what the law says about it, and not rendering a decision on the walk and talk inspections in general. All right, moving on real quickly. Some of you may know that there were a few regulatory waivers that were in place during the public health emergency that was entered by executive order during the COVID pandemic. So the governor entered an order in March of 2020. It did a whole lot of things related to the pandemic, but one of the things it did, it authorized our agency head to waive certain regulations that could be problematic during this social distancing and all the things that we've been dealing with. But that executive order was lifted in June, which means the waivers ended in June. I'm pointing this out because I want to make sure you know, during that waiver period, the expiration date on your license was automatically extended until the end of the waiver period. That is over, so you have to either reinstate or you may have to reapply. Reinstatement you can do for 2 years. So check your license. You can go on license lookup on the DPOR website. You can give us a call, look at your card, make sure that's current, because if you were kind of, taking advantage of that waiver period, it is gone. And so you want to make sure that you know whether or not your license is current in order to be able to practice legally. And it also lifted the waiver on online and virtual training. This is just for pre-license education, not for CPE. In the regulations, you have to have at least 50% of the course in person. That is back. We've gotten a lot of questions from training providers about expanding that. We can't under the current regulations, but it is a part of the regulations that are currently undergoing review. That's a couple-year process. So I want to expect that to be coming around the corner tomorrow. All right, last thing I'm going to pass on because I know you all have a lot of important business to do, but just wanted to give you a reminder. I always check with the licensing staff to ask, what important things can I pass along? One of the things they asked me to just remind you, when you're renewing, you can pay for the renewal fee online, but there is additional documentation that you need to submit that can't be done through that online system when you go to the DPOR website. So if you submit your renewal fee online, that's fine, but make sure you send your proof of insurance, which we have to have. And if you have the NRS specialty, that NRS CPE documentation, you can email it, you can fax it, you can mail it. But we cannot renew your license until we have both. And if we don't have both, that can kick you into either late renewal fees and possibly reinstatement. So we have to have both of those in order to renew your license. So just be mindful of that. If you pay online, that is an easier process, but unfortunately we don't have a way to take the documents online at this time. Hopefully soon, but not right now.
Trisha, quick comment on that insurance certificate.
Sure.
The insurance certificate, correct me if I'm wrong, the insurance company must name the inspector as an additional insured.
You're exactly right. Either an additional insured or it's in the name, the policy is in the name of the home inspector, but we do have to have that home inspector's name on there in some capacity as being covered.
And Scott, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. Hey, Trisha.
Hi.
So I'm under the impression or been told that in the real estate or realtor world within DPOR, they can actually submit their documentation for their CEs on their portal and then determine what additional CEs may be required before their deadline. Are there any plans to do so for the home inspectors?
So that's a great question. Each board does it a little differently. With I don't know real estate specifically, but I believe their training providers and their courses are approved by the board. So you can't offer a course for CE unless it's been approved by the board. When it's done that way, the training providers are required to submit to the board the list of people who took the course. This board has opted not to pre-approve in order to allow greater opportunities and options for folks to be able to take training. Sometimes there are smaller courses or, some really specific things that are helpful to you as a home inspector, but, the providers don't want to go through the time and cost and all of that to get it approved. So that's why we can't get it from the training providers, because we don't have any kind of authority over the training providers, and it has to be submitted. Right now, we do it through an audit process. I will tell you, if the regulations go through as they are, everyone will have to submit their CPE as part of the renewal process. And that's just to, make it cleaner and make sure, everyone has their required CPE.
Okay. So the last question would be then, how do one of us determine if we want to take a particular course, whether it will meet the CPE requirements as a home inspector for a
Sure. So we go by the topic areas in the National Home Inspector examination. So if you're ever wondering about a course and you just go to those topic areas, if you can't find them, you're not sure, or you just want to know before you sign up for a class, we're always available. We can't pre-approve classes, but we're the ones doing the audits. We're the ones looking at all of that. We'll always, let you know if this would count, because we don't want you to take the time or money to take something that's not going to count at CPE time.
Okay, good enough.
All right.
On that same topic, Trisha, so when we are the providers of the training for CPE, what kind of language are you looking for in on the certificate?
So other than we need to know the dates of the training, either through a schedule, an agenda, some type of indication of how long the training was, so we can calculate. We do 50 minutes equals 1 CPE credit. So we don't look at a full hour. We look at 50 minutes as counting as 1 CPE credit. So basically the name, the dates of the training, what the topic is. We always suggest that people keep any other documentation. So like when they sign up, the description of the course, just in case we have a question about, was the topic relevant?
All right, Trisha, thank you again for just a good overview here. It's given us a lot to communicate to members with Barry, and we appreciate all that you and your staff do. You're very.
Thank you so much, and you all enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you.